So it is literally 1 second after I finished my last vlog, but if you watched that, you saw I'm gonna actually start the Crescent City series by Sarah J Maas. I got the first 2 books. I do not have the 3rd book. I know the 3rd book was a huge letdown for a lot of people, just from what I've seen. But, you know, it's Saturday, we're sitting outside, it's a really nice day, it's super windy, but it's nice and sunny. So I am just wanting to have a, like, I got a little tan, I'm just wanting to have a book to read. And boy, is this a book to read. It's 800 pages. So we're gonna start a little vlog. We're going to see how I do and just go from there. Music's playing, we're out, we are gonna go, we are going, I'm going. So see ya when I see ya, bye. Hey everyone, so it's been like 5 days since you last saw me. I have read a little bit of this book. I mean, a little bit I say, but I'm on page, what, 217. Like I've read 200 pages, but this is an 800 plus page book. So, you know Sarah J Maas, you know how she just likes to add absolutely everything. I did see a lot of people DNF this book or like give it like low rating because the first part of the book is full of world building and like info dumping and stuff. Let me tell you this, the first like 50 pages, I had no idea what was going on. But I did like that something happened in the beginning of the book that like changes everything and is the catalyst for the story. She is very annoying. So Bryce is the female and she is half fae, half human, and Hunt is an archangel, right? Or dark angel. He's an archangel. There's a lot to be said about this world that I'm not going to get into right now. Also, I find that they are very childish. I mean, I feel like Sarah J Maas writes all of her female leads very similarly, because Selena I really did not enjoy. Farah, I like to start off with. I actually liked Farah for the first, I want to say, 3 books of not Throne of Glass, oh my god, I'm getting them all mixed up, A Court of Thorns and Roses, but by the last book that I read with her and Reese, I was like sick of them. Regardless, anyways, we have Hunt, we have Bryce, we also have Run. I don't know if he's called Run or Rune, but he is Bryce's half brother, but everyone thinks that they're cousins. So there's that. The thing that is so stupid about this book so far, and I don't want to hate on the book, but so the government has asked Bryce, little old Bryce, a half human, half fae woman who's like 23 or so, or 24, whatever. She works in the art gallery, you know. She hasn't even done the drop when basically that's what you do to become immortal, and you can decide when I guess you want to do this when you're of age. And she was going to do it with her best friend. Her best friend got killed. That will like happen like in the first part of the book, and so she still hasn't done her drop, so she's not immortal, so she's still obviously at risk of, you know, dying and stuff, and she hasn't fulfilled that, which I think is actually really interesting concept, that you have to go through something to become immortal. You're not just born a fae and are immortal. So I actually really like that. And also there's something weird going on with that, where you do the drop and then you give the spark of your true power to the government. So there must be some sort of conspiracy going on where people are just giving their power for no reason or whatever. I don't know. But I would be very curious, and I would like the story if it went into more of that. But right now, the government, like the governor, has asked little old Bryce to investigate the murder of her best friend. That was 2 years ago, because somebody else has died now by the same sort of bite marks and stuff. This was like by a demon or whatever. Well, we assume it's by a demon. No one knows who it is. And they're like, you know, we've exhausted everything in our power. We want you to do it. That is so far-fetched to me. I really wish that Sarah J Maas would have found a different way to get the story going, or a different way to get Bryce involved in it. Like maybe Bryce finds out and then she, on her own, tries to investigate. I would have liked some logic behind that. I don't think that makes any sense to me. Maybe there is, and we're not told as the reader as to the true reason why. You're gonna ask somebody who's got no experience to do that, okay? Anyway, so it's a little weird, and then Hunt is ordered to basically babysitter. So he's forced to watch over her and help her with the investigations. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, I don't know. I've read 200 pages. And I don't feel like a lot has actually happened. I know I've been speaking a lot, but I don't think a lot's happened. But that's where I'm at with this book. I do have another little thing to do. We received the Illumicrate for the month of, I think it's June. I decided to cancel this just because I feel like I'm paying for all the extra bits and not necessarily the book itself. I feel like the last books that I've read from Illumicrate haven't been the best. And yeah, anyway, we'll see. So the theme is I Will Fly. Yeah, this is the June one. The July theme is Magical Menagerie. Okay, yeah, so we have, oh, a pin. We have a little pin. This is inspired by The Water Outlaws by S.L. Juan. It's like a sword. I quite like that, but like I don't know what I would use that for. I don't really use these, so I know we've received a couple of these since I've had this box, and I don't know what to do with those. Then we have this one. This is a metal bookmark, and this is inspired by The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. Oh, this is pretty. I actually really like this. This is very nice. Yeah, this is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Wow. I like that a lot. Very, very pretty. Okay, then we've got this. This is Mechanical Pencils. From the Singing Hills, Mechanical Pencils. Where are these pencils? Ooh, okay. This one is like blue and has a rabbit on it jumping in the moon. So I don't know what that's about. And then this one, there's symbols on it as well. So if you know the book it's inspired by, I'm sure that means something, but I don't. Okay, what's this? Ooh, what is this? This is a photo album, no? Oh, this is really nice. So this is, I know what it means to dream about the past, to dream about things you've loved and lost, Natasha. I buy photo albums and I never fill them up, and I always feel like I'm going to. I really like this. This is really pretty, and there's a lot of sheets in here. I can definitely see myself putting this on my shelf next to my other one, because this is actually really nice. Oh, it's heavy. Okay, so this is the book of Jade and Dragons, and it's by Amber Chen. It's got all of this lovely sprayed edge. Yep, I love it. Very pretty colorings. Okay, so 18-year-old is going to be YA, I'm assuming. 18-year-old Aishu Ying dreams of becoming a world-class engineer like her father, but after his unexpected murder, a heartbroken Ying is determined to discover why anyone would threaten a man who ultimately chose a quiet life over fame and fortune, left with owning a journal, blah, 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 blah. Disguised as her brother, Ying manages to infiltrate the male-only apprenticeship trial with the help of an unlikely ally, the nation's taciturn 8th prince. Okay, so she must stay one step ahead of her fellow competitors. Okay, so it's like, what's that movie with Amanda Bynes when she pretends to be a boy? It's gonna be kind of like that, and it's gonna be like in a trial. So, okay, fine. But anyway, I will try to find a spot for this on my shelves. I did a good push of reading some hardbacks a few weeks ago. Oh, you know what? I never took the jacket off. What is the, ooh, okay. Oh, this is so much nicer. This is so much nicer than that front cover. Oh yes, I like this lime green. I think I'll store it like this. This is so much prettier like than this. This is so dark. I don't like this. It's dark and dreary. Why would you have not kept the dragon? Come on, you gotta keep the dragon. Oh, this is so much nicer than that. Why would you, this is so ugly. Yeah, I will continue reading this. I mean, I'm not hating it. I'm not hate reading it at all or anything. I have nothing else that I'm reading, so I'm not distracted by anything else. I think with Sarah J Maas, I have to just like invest and like just dive into the story. So I'm doing that. I think so far, if I had to rate it, I would give it a 3-star. I don't think it's anything special, but we'll see. I mean, maybe I will fall in love with their romance. And who knows, but maybe she doesn't end up with Hunt, maybe she ends up with someone else. I just wish it was a different type of female lead. I just feel like they're all written the same way, and I'm getting a little bored of the way that she writes her female leads. Let me recap you. Obviously, I said I was gonna start reading this. I have read it. It's over 800 pages long, and it's a 2-star. It honestly drained the living life out of me. I do have the second book because I bought them together, and I wish I had not done that. I just wish I had not done that. So I will eventually read the second book, but not now because, as I said, this drained the living life out of me. It ended up being a 2-star. It had like 500 pages worth of crap in there. It could have been a 300-page book and still had everything in there. I'm not gonna lie, there was some interesting aspects to like the different creatures that are in this story, but ultimately, I never quite really believed in the world, because this is a modern world with all of this ancient stuff going on, and fae and vampires and werewolves and just all sorts of demons and other stuff. And then they have their phones and they're speaking like modern day Gen Z people, and I just don't get it. So I couldn't quite get my head around that, and I knew it was urban fantasy, but I don't think it was done well. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't compare it to any other urban fantasy that I've read because I haven't read any other urban fantasy, but I just can imagine it being done a little bit better. And like I said, there's like 500 pages of filler, and I am so over trying to like Sarah J. Maas. Like, I feel like there are parts of ACOTAR. Obviously, I loved the second book, and I thought the first book was fine too. Like, I liked those 2 books. And then you do start kind of getting into the point where I feel like she just wants to write the biggest book possible, but not necessarily condense it down and make it enjoyable to read for the reader. So I don't know what's going on. I know a lot of people say her editors don't even edit her books anymore, blah, blah, blah. There's like jokes about that I've read. I mean, this is nothing new that I'm saying. A lot of people have said the same thing that have not enjoyed this book. And a lot of people love these books and give them 4 or 5 stars. So I appreciate that everyone has different tastes and enjoys different styles of writing. Her writing is just not for me. I got so sick of her writing in Throne of Glass. And that is like 7, 8 books. Like, I can't even recall. It was just the longest marathon of my life and put me in the worst reading slump. And this was starting to put me in a reading slump. But I got through it, I finished it, I gave it 2 stars. Didn't care for the characters at all. So you haven't really missed much. It did take me like 2 weeks to read that though, because it was such a struggle. However, I did actually pick up another book 2 days ago and I finished it last night. So this one I read literally in like 24 hours, and it is A Fate Inked in Blood. This one is by Daniel L. Jensen. So obviously I didn't vlog anything. I didn't even tell you I was going to read this. I didn't think I was going to finish it so fast, but I got to like I was like on like 264, sort of the page 264 last night. I was like, I could push through because it's like 400 pages. And I did, and I finished it. Now, this is super easy to read. It was very enjoyable. I actually feel like I want to give it a 4 star. So I've given it a 4 star on Goodreads. I didn't mind it. Now, I can see parts of it where it's getting annoying. I feel also the pacing of the book was a little odd because a lot of the book is quite slow. And then right at the end, there's quite a bit that happens, or like revelations, and it's all like right at the end, and then the book ends, I wouldn't say on a cliffhanger, but it just literally ends, and then you're like, crap, well, I gotta wait for the second book now, which I will because I have enjoyed it, and it is quite steamy, it's quite spicy, to be fair. This is definitely adult fantasy book. It's not like Sarah J. Maas. Like, this one is supposed to be adult, but it felt like I was reading a YA still. It just felt like it was for kids, honestly. I'm like, no offense, but it just felt so young to me. This one could still obviously be young adult. It probably is young adult, which I think that's not necessarily a category, but it's so many books fall into that category. But the steamy, spicy parts were quite nice and quite enjoyable, so I will give it that. And I did like the characters in here. I did find that Farah, I think her name is Freya, I did find her to be somewhat annoying because she ended up being a damsel in distress in some moments. Like, she's supposed to be super tough, but then she does these stupid things because she's super stubborn. But you kind of realize and understand why she has different sides of her personality. She really is like a walking contradiction. And so it kind of makes sense when you get to the end of the book why that's happening. So I didn't mind it, to be fair, and the male lead is super sexy and hot, so I liked him too. Also, it's Norse mythology, and I'm really into like Vikings and all that. Love the show, even though a lot of that was not historically accurate. Still loved it. Even Vikings Valhalla, which is the like spin-off show. So I don't mind having all the gods and all of the like sacrifices and stuff because I've watched all those shows and I'm very much like into it. So I think going into this book, it was enjoyable to read about something different that doesn't have just fae, because I mean, pretty much all of the romantasy books that I've read are all about fae. Or is there any other thing that I've read that hasn't have, I feel like they've all been fae. So this one doesn't have any fae. It's just more about Norse mythology, and I liked the difference in that. I liked how it was a little bit different from itself, from like set itself apart from other books. And whether it's historically accurate, I mean, I don't think it's trying to be, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, it's a pretty book too, but I read it pretty fast. It's very easy to read. It was just enjoyable. I liked it. I didn't really tab it too much, but I gave it 4 stars, and I would definitely want to carry on with the series, but she hasn't even like announced when the next book's coming out, because obviously this just came out this year. So it's probably going to be like a couple years before I read the next one, or maybe next year, who knows. That's what's been going on. Actually, the reason why I picked this, this has been working out for me so well. So I asked my partner again, can you pick 3 books from my shelves? So he just went and he grabbed the 3 books. He like didn't even ask me at all. He just like, read these 3 books. So then he was like, read this one first. The other 2 books that he picked was Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers. So this is the next one that I'm going to start reading. Haven't started yet, but I'm going to start reading it today. It's more of a contemporary and like slice of life, but other than that, I don't know anything about it other than a girl meets this guy who's like 20 years older, and I think they get married. I don't really know. That's kind of all I know about that book. And then he also picked this one, which is a book that I just received from Illumicrate. I feel like this was the May edition, and I only just received it in July. So I don't know what happened to my May edition, but this one is called Goddess of the River, and maybe it wasn't this one, maybe it was a different one. I don't really know. This is Vaishnavi Patel. I'm so sorry if I butchered that author's name. And I've never heard of this. I don't know anything about this. So anyway, he picked those 3. So obviously I've just read A Fate Inked in Blood, which I enjoyed, and I'm gonna read these other 2, but I thought I'd give a catch up because I know I did that intro so long ago, and I'm like, well, nothing's been going on. Other than I got really, really sick, so I didn't want to film anything, and I just was stuck on that stupid Sarah J. Maas book. But it's done now, and I'm out of my reading slump. You know what it is? I read that book, and I was like, I have to read another book straight away. And I'm so glad that I read this so fast, because it's just like got me back into the mood. If I had picked up the second book of the Crescent City series, oh my gosh, I would have just been drowning in that. And then I literally would have read like 1 or 2 books for the whole month. So now, you know, it's the middle of the month. I feel like I've got some catching up to do, and we'll read these 2 books hopefully this week. I'm a little bit worried that this one won't be what I kind of want to read. So I don't know if I should read this one first, but just reading that synopsis, I don't even know if I want to read it, to be fair. I don't know. I should like check on my Illumicrates and my Fairy Loots. Like I should try to skip some months, because I'm sure I'm getting books that I probably won't enjoy, but I'm just like letting them arrive. But I've had some pretty decent books also come through from there too. And I quite like going into books where I literally have no idea what's going on or what the actual story will be. So anyway, we'll see. So I'm gonna try this one. It says like the hottest book, tender, devastating, and funny, positively inhalable. So we'll see. I'm hoping that I can get into the writing style. I don't know how it is at all, but it's quite a thick, chunky book, and there's a lot, like it's a lot of prose, I think, or maybe not. I mean, there's quite a lot of dialogue. It's just like when there's like tons of prose, sometimes it can be a slog to get through. It is under 400 pages, so that's good. It's 368. So yeah, hopefully I like the characters and I get the story. We'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, I'll leave it at that and I'll catch you next time. Hey everyone, so it's been some time. I've read Cleopatra and Frankenstein, and I wanted to give myself some days to think about this book. Not that it was good. I'm not going to give it a 5-star. I think I gave it a 2-star on Goodreads, possibly a 3. I don't actually remember, but I feel like this is the type of book that just kind of pisses you off in a way. There was some really like gross, disturbing moments in this book too. It's really like the ugly side of humanity and the ugly side of love. And I felt like the men in this book, maybe aside from Santiago, were all horrible. Like they were the type of men that women should stay away from. And I hated it even more because Frankenstein, that's his nickname, but he's Frank, ends up having a happy ending, and he is horrible. He is not deserving of a happy ending, in my opinion, after reading the book. Feel like Cleo, forgot her name. She's so bland. Like the female lead in this character really has no personality. It's really hard to know who she is because whenever people describe her, because you do jump from different perspectives in this book, whenever people describe her, it's that she's milky white, she's got this beautiful blonde hair, and that's about it. Like, it's not that she's funny or that she's charismatic or she's intelligent or smart. It's just everything that is ever spoken about her is more about how she looks and like the paleness of her skin, which is kind of weird in a way. But besides that, she obviously is hugely depressed in this book and does not have anyone around her that really cares. And I think that is reflected in the way that people describe her, because they don't describe her as a human being with feelings and emotion and like depth to her. They describe her just based on what she presents to the outside world, like surface level. That's all that they see from her. And obviously when we jump to her perspective, she has so much more inside of her, but then you still don't really quite know who she is, like throughout the book. And even at the end of the book, I still didn't really feel like she had a good character arc. I don't feel like she was in a safe place. I think she was just in a different place and away from Frank. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I just think that it was, I don't know. It's it's a book about a relationship where they dive into each other far too fast. He is 20 years older than her, and it's just within like a year or a year and a half of their relationship, like how it spirals and crashes and burns, and all of the people around them. I mean, that's basically what it is. I do kind of like that they were called Cleopatra and Frankenstein, because Cleopatra was very beautiful and known for her beauty and her elegance, and that's kind of all that we kind of know about Cleo. And then obviously Frank as Frankenstein, yeah, he's a monster. He is awful. Like the chapter with the little squirrel, if I like had my hand like that. I was like disgusted, and I finished that chapter. I put the book down and I had to like step away for the day. I did not want to keep reading. I can't say that I didn't enjoy this book, but it's not something that I would recommend to anyone. It's also not a book that I feel like is worthy of a 5-star or 4 stars. So yeah, it kind of a bummer. It was I read some comments saying it's the most depressing book ever. I wouldn't say it's the most depressing book ever. I would just say it is an infuriating book because there are no characters that are likable. Oh, and then I read that some people liked Eleanor, I think that's her name, because there are some chapters with Eleanor which is in first person, and everyone's like, oh, we love Eleanor, blah blah. I didn't like her because she went after a married man. Like how can you back someone for that? No, I'm sorry. No, this book is about flawed characters that you meet every day in your life. So in that respect, they are all realistic, but at the same time, I didn't find all of it realistic because there wasn't enough depth to some of the characters where I really knew who they were. Like Cleo's best friend, I can't remember his name, but we get a chapter from him, and he is gay, but there is, like, when we're in the chapter, he's talking about, like, or he's questioning whether he might be trans, and then I'm just thinking, like, where is this leading off to? And then it never is brought up again, so he's just like, I don't know why that was included in the story if it wasn't, like, progressed a little bit further, because really what happens with him is he gets like a terrible drug addiction and problem, and then he's kind of discarded at the end of the book. Cleo, is no longer friends with him and stuff, and I'm just thinking, why did we even have that? Why did we have to have the token gay best friend? Like, that's really who he is in the story. We don't get enough of him. He's incredibly unlikable, so I don't even think he's a good representation of somebody who is queer. But then, was it just trying to show I don't know how, everyone is basically effed up in this book? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Coco Mellers is trying to say about some of these characters. I think what she's trying to say about Frank and Cleo is a little bit clearer, even though I don't think that Frank deserved to have such a good ending. So yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of bitter about this book. And yeah, I had to sit on it, and even now my thoughts on it are a little bit all over the place because I don't think it was a good book, but maybe because I'm questioning all the characters and they're all so flawed, maybe that was what it was trying to do. And so maybe it is, I don't really know, but I didn't like it. So, and I don't think I would ever read it, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. So I finished that one. I did start reading this, which is Goddess of the Rivers, the next one I was going to start reading. So I think I'm going to have to DNF this book. So I'm on page, I just finished page 116, so I'm on part 2. I've had really mixed feelings about this so far. Now, I don't know anything about the mythology of this story. It's a very well-known story about Ganga and Shiva and all of these gods based in the East, and I don't know anything about it. So in that respect, I was kind of interested. However, I really don't like the way that it's written. You're following Ganga, who is the goddess of the river. When the book starts off, she's cursed and she is set down to earth, and she is the river. River Ganga, and she is there for centuries and centuries, and she has little godlings around her and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's the humans, and they're getting closer to her river, and she's like studying them but not really studying them. She knows, she's aware of them and everything, and then one day she is cursed and she becomes a human, a mortal, and to be uncursed, she has, like, all those little godlings that she had, they're called the Vasu. She needs to give birth to them to release them from the mortal world. Okay, so bear with me. That is her curse. And once that happens, I think there's 7 of them, then she will become the river again. So she ends up meeting the king straight away, marries him, starts having babies. And this is where the book lost me. I'm sorry, but I am a mother, and any woman who has gone through pregnancy and who has had children. I really feel like this book should have a trigger warning because I was not, I had no idea that this was going to happen in the book, and I don't think I want to continue reading it. I have passed the part where it was really disturbing, but basically spoiler, so if you want to read this book, you don't want to know what's going on, don't listen to me in the next like couple minutes. But spoiler, she ends up killing all her children. So she gives birth by the river and then she drowns them. And then all of the spirits are released of the godlings and she's like released them from her curse. She does that 6 times. The 7th time she is about to do it and then the king finds her by the river, stops her, it says, "Give me my child." And then because she's given birth for the 7th time, but she hasn't released the godling, she has freed herself from the curse, but she hasn't freed the godling from the curse, so he's stuck in the mortal body of, obviously, her child. And so she becomes the river again, and the king takes his son. Now, that whole part, and I just read that part, like, I think last night, was like a good, like, I don't know, 10 pages worth of like descriptions about it and stuff and going back and forth. Disgusting. Like, why is this in a book? Now, yeah, this is a retelling and it's a very, like from what I've read, it's a very famous, complex story, but it's not for me. And it really pissed me off reading all of that. I really, like, regardless of what ends up happening in the book, I do not agree with any of that stuff. And I thought it was absolutely disgusting, the amount of people that I've given this 4 or 5 stars on Goodreads. And I was trying to scroll through any of the 2 stars that didn't have that, because I didn't really want to spoil the book for anything, but I don't think I want to finish it. Nobody's mentioning this. And am I just the only one that's sensitive about this? I don't really know, but this is absolutely like appalling. And I'm sorry if I'm being sensitive about it, but I just found it absolutely disgusting to read all of that. So yeah, I'm not going to be reading this book anymore. I got through it. I'm on part 2. Maybe it gets better, but it's put a really sour taste in my mouth that I don't think anything that happens in this book is going to redeem itself. Also, I really don't like the writing. I think the writing is clunky, doesn't really flow, and I don't really like, I don't like it at all. Some people say the writing is beautiful. It's not for me. I don't like it at all. I think it's not beautiful. It's not my style, and the story is certainly not for me. So yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this vlog up because I have actually read quite a few books. Just to recap, obviously I finished House of Earth and Blood. I gave that 2 stars. I read this one, A Fate Inked in Blood, so that was really fun, and I gave that 4 stars, and I am intrigued to carry on with this series, so whenever the next book comes out, I think it will be interesting. And yeah, Cleopatra and Frankenstein, I'm glad I finished it, I'm glad I read it, but at the same time, it just kind of pissed me off. So it's kind of a shame because I started the vlog off with a 2-star from Sarah J. Maas. A Fate Inked in Blood was the best book that I've read recently with a 4-star. And yeah, this Goddess of the River, boy oh boy. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I don't even know how much content I have for this vlog, but for the next one, I don't even know what's going to be happening. I am going to be just enjoying the sun. I have family visiting me, so I don't know how much I'm gonna be recording, to be fair. But yeah, I'm still just definitely gonna be reading. I just don't know how much I'm gonna be recording, but we'll see what happens in my next one. But anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!